like it.
Not ready yet. Must wait.
Ever since Diablo 4 launched, I haven't seen many Spellcaster Druid builds going around, so I thought maybe it'd be worth showing you this Storm Earth build I've created. It makes for a great leveling experience that can easily take you all the way to 70 plus with very few requirements. It's got great damage, especially AoE, and is fairly tanky relative to the amount of damage it outputs. Most importantly, it's really satisfying to play. You can start using this build very early in the game as it only relies on legendary aspects, utilizes no uniques, and mostly just needs ability points to get going. The build relies on a mixture of Earth and Storm skills, with Earth Spike as your basic skill and Lightning Storm as your core skill. Boulder and Hurricane are your utilities, Earth Bulwark is your defense, and Petrify is your ultimate. The core aspects are the aspect of Natural Balance and Mighty Storms aspect, with Lightning Dancer's aspect following close behind. Earth Spike is going to be your basic skill, although in terms of pure damage output, something like the vulnerability proc of Storm Strike would be preferable. This allows you to stay fully ranged and provides the foundation for your build by being an easy Earth cast, which is necessary to keep your aspect of Natural Balance up. Furthermore, it synergizes with many of your passives like Resonance and Natural Disaster, and helps keep you safe by adding to the massive crowd control potential of the build with its modifier, Enhanced Earth Spike. Wild Earth Spike is our last modifier, as the second spike is useful for proccing Earth and Might and Bad Omen. Because you will be using Earth Spike very often and you will be attacking very quickly, I recommend investing at least 4 if not 5 skill points in it. With all the attack speed, synergy, and active aspects, your Earth Spike will absolutely demolish single targets while keeping your spirit topped up. Lightning Storm is your core skill and your main damage source. You want the Enhanced Lightning Storm and Raging Lightning Storm modifiers, as well as full 5 points. Due to the synergy this build has with crowd control, you may be tempted to go with Primal Lightning Storm, but the one extra strike offered by the Raging modifier ends up being much more useful due to all the possible procs on lightning damage hits we end up getting from abilities and aspects. Of course, you want to put 1 rank into Heart of the Wild and 3 ranks each in Abundance and Wild Impulses for the increased damage and spirit generation. Earth and Bulwark with the enhanced modifier is your defensive. Getting another modifier in here is not particularly useful, as we mostly use this skill for the barrier and the unstoppable effect and do not rely on it for damage or fortify. Instead, we can invest that point elsewhere and get more out of it. In the next skill branch, you only need 3 ranks of Nature's Reach. Being entirely long range, the majority of your damage will be to distant targets, who will most certainly have at least one of the crowd control effects required for the doubling of the bonus. In your Wrath skill branch, you want to put 1 point into Hurricane while also grabbing the enhanced and natural modifiers. The natural modifier is particularly important, as it's an easy vulnerable proc on the enemies that will manage to get remotely close. As you may well know, vulnerability is one of the strongest effects currently, so I need not explain how important that is in terms of damage output. Next up is Boulder, with 2 to 3 invested ranks, and the enhanced and savage modifiers. Although Boulder will deal fairly large amounts of damage itself, it's not used as a damage dealer, but mainly a utility. Its ability to bundle enemies together as it travels, coupled with its slowing and stunning potential, not only help keep you safe, but also multiplies your damage dealt on those enemies, both by CCing them and by grouping them together for your aspects, AoE effects, and passives, as well as Earth and Might. In the Lightning Passives branch, you want to invest 3 points in Elemental Exposure, a single point in Charged Atmosphere, 3 points in Electric Shock, and 3 points in Bad Omen. I'm sure by now you can see how these effects all tie in well together with the rest of the build. Elemental Exposure is particularly important once again, as it will allow your Lightning Storm to proc Vulnerability, offering great increase in damage output. In the Ultimate branch, we're using Petrify with both modifiers for the very obvious bonuses. With Supreme Petrify, as soon as you cast your ultimate, you can just sit there and channel Lightning Storm until pretty much everything on the map is obliterated. 3 points in Defiance, 3 points in Natural Disaster, and 3 points in Resonance will further increase the synergy of your Earth Spike and Lightning Storm whilst making sure you have enough damage for single target enemies, where this build falls slightly behind compared to its infinite potential for AoE damage. When attacking single enemies, I recommend switching between casts of Earth Spike and Lightning Storm in order to keep Resonance up and maximize your damage potential. The vulnerable procs from Lightning Storm and stun procs from Earth Spike will also further increase damage output on elites and groups of enemies. 2 points in Circle of Life will offer much needed survivability and keep your health topped up without having to rely constantly on potions. If you are having trouble surviving, you may consider investing an extra point in Circle of Life. In order to do that, I would probably detract a point from Boulder. Finally, your key passive is Earthen Might, which alongside the Mighty Storm aspect is the core of this build, allowing your Lightning Storm and Hurricane to proc its guaranteed critical strikes and Spirit Restoration in synergy with the massive CC potential of the build. Your Spirit boons are Advantageous Beast, Swooping Attacks, Scything Talons, Energize, and Overload. I won't go into too much detail on the items to save some time, but what I do want to say is that I have pretty much tested every other aspect that might go along with this build, and this combination seems to currently yield the most damage and survivability, but feel free to experiment. I should mention, however, that you definitely want the accelerating aspect in your amulet slot for that extra bonus in attack speed. Attack speed is absolutely vital in this build alongside critical chance. Since your core aspect of natural balance is in your two-handed weapon, there is no other aspect equally important that would be a better option for the amulet slot. Although Lightning Dancer may sound like an appetizing choice, it only increases the damage of the dancing bolts, not their appearance or duration, and that damage increase is irrelevant compared to the extra procs and overall synergy that comes with increased attack speed. A noteworthy mention is the overcharged aspect, which although a good choice, is not sufficiently reliable to replace Lightning Dancer's aspect as it relies on lucky hit, whereas Lightning Dancer only needs the far more common critical strikes. It could potentially replace the rapid aspect in one of your rings, but I doubt it would be an overall good choice unless you have already rolled enough attack speed on your gear to not need the extra bonus on Earth Spike as much. I have included an example Paragon tree as well as preferable item stats in the link to the build below. And that is all you will need for this build. As you can see, most of the core requirements you can acquire very early in the game, making this a viable build to level up with all the way to at least mid-game. I'm currently level 68, and as you can see from a few of the clips, I'm easily destroying tier 23 nightmare dungeons with an extra underleveled character tagging along and even making enemies tougher. The damage potential is truly insane and is not showing any signs of slowing down thus far. In fact, it has only been getting better with better gear and more Paragon points. I will leave you to enjoy some crunchy clips as the video plays out. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.
Gregor!
I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. Wait a moment. Wait a minute. Have enough spirit. I'm not ready yet.